Welcome into SportBet Extra. I'm your host, Paul Rami, here every Tuesday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. It is a great Friday, November 14th, 2025. We got a great show today. A lot of college ball talk, a lot of NBA talk, college football as well, NFL, just all over the place. We're going to be talking about all sports. We're just going to kind of hit on a lot of those kind of quick hitters and on to the next one because it's going to be so much action, so jam-packed. We're trying to fit the whole weekend in here. So we'll be covering all that. We'll also go over our record, as yesterday we did go 2-1. We're going to do something slightly different. I'm going to put my overall record up. We'll go over yesterday's recap as well. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So what we did yesterday, we went ahead and showed our overall recap, right? Now that we've got sportbetextra.com up and running, we've been doing our one free play of the day. So I want everyone to see the record overall, what we've been doing as well for those that are members over at SportBet Extra. So let's pull up the overall record. So here's where we're at currently. This is since late October is where we're at, right as MLB was winding down. Here's where we are at currently in about 2.5, 3 weeks, plus 10.47 units, so $100 better. You're up $1,047. That pays for itself, like I talked about. In those 3 weeks, if you got your monthly package, that would have been paid for and you'd be making some money. NBA, we're 13-6 there, so we continue to have success in the NBA. Last night, we did have the Hawks there first half. That was an easy win there. They, like I said, controlled the game early, got out to a hot start against Utah, and they were just too much offensively for Utah all game. So we got that win there with the Hawks. Over to college basketball, we're currently 15-11. We did get the loss there, taking Pittsburgh +6. Wrong read there. Virginia was able to just control that game, control Pittsburgh, had no chance. And then Purdue, like we talked about, Purdue +3. I said, and I'll say it again, Purdue was going to win that one in the paint with the rebounding, whatever it was. That's how they were going to win it. Alabama, if they shot the three really well, the perimeter shooting, they were going to win that game covered. So that's how that one went. We saw Purdue. They controlled that game last night. I want to pull up what those stats were because I know Purdue had a lot of points in the paint. And they did. They had 30 points in the paint compared to 22 for Alabama. And then the rebounding. The rebounding was the huge factor, like we talked about, with Trey Coffin-Wren being back for Purdue there. 52 rebounds for Purdue compared to 28 for Alabama. So Alabama, they're just shooting and they're not rebounding. That's going to be an issue because, as you notice, if their shot's off, then they're going to end up losing. So Purdue, they're aggressive there on the glass. They are going to be a tough out. This kind of feels like one of those teams, man, where they kept that core together, those main guys, and they're really going to look to make a deep run this year. So I'd watch out. I know I'm high on Gonzaga. Purdue is going to be very tough. I know it's very early in the season, right? So we're not going to be jumping to conclusions too early, but you just like the idea that these guys, Lawyer, Braden Smith, right? All these guys are back and they're playing together, the same core group of guys. And that's what you look for in a championship team. So that's it for overall for yesterday, where we're at. Let's go ahead and get this back up, and let's get into today a little bit with what we're going to talk about. Real quick, I do want to touch on the NBA Cup because that's going on tonight, NBA Cup games. Which, by the way, with the NBA Cup, if we're going to do this, why not just start this NBA season December 1st? Let's shorten the season to like 60, 65 games, somewhere around there. Start December 1st. Begin the NBA Cup to start the season, right? First 2 weeks, have your group play. Leading up into that week of Christmas, you have your semifinals, have your final game, a third place game on Christmas Day. Make it exciting, make it something worth playing for. Then after Christmas, NBA Cup is done, we get into the regular season. Simple. Shorten the NBA season, make it about 60, 65 games, go straight into the NBA Cup to start the season, just so these teams can kind of feel each other out, see where they're at. You'll have a lot more important basketball and a lot less of these kind of sorry games early in the season. No reason for the NBA to start as early as it does. Push it back to December 1st. Start the NBA Cup right away. Just play NBA Cup group stage for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is. Go into Christmas Day with your championship and third place game. Call it a day. You're welcome, Commissioner Adam Silver. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about those games tonight real quick. I just want to go over a few of them. Nets at the Magic. Their Magic laying to 13.5. Not going to be involved or interested in that one. Heat and Knicks, not going to be looking at that one either. Let's go down to I think I've got Sixers and Pistons. So Pistons minus 5.5. So there's a lot of meaningful injuries on that Pistons side right now. I mean, you've got guys like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart. Those are all game time decisions. And I want to double check because I know that injury report and that's still not out. So they're all game time decisions still. As we wait on those are three pretty top guys. You've got Asura Thompson, he's out. Tobias Harris, he's out, and the Pistons are a 5.5-point favorite. That's almost your whole starting five that's out, and you're still a 5.5-point favorite. So yeah, something does not add up here, especially since the Sixers, they just lost to the Pistons on Sunday. Only way I would look here is 76ers to cover this number. But again, it's kind of weird that the Pistons are still a 5.5-point favorite with all these injury concerns. Not sure if these guys are going to play or not. If they are ruled out, I mean, man, I'd hop on the Sixers right now before any of that information comes out because that line is going to jump if you get Cunningham, Duren, and Isaiah Stewart all ruled out. But I expect them to play. This is the NBA Cup. It looks like the line probably expects them to play. That's why they're that 5.5. They expect them to be in. So if they do play, I would still be on the Sixers, though. I'm liking them to cover. That's the way I would be leaning. The Hornets at the Bucks. Bucks laying that 9.5 there. Kings at Timberwolves and 12.5. Not really interested in those. Blazers at the Rockets. Rockets laying 7.5. This game, I mean, I'm just not buying it with the Blazers to cover this number. That high from the Thunder win, that's already kind of worn off. That team is coming down to earth a little bit. I just think the Rockets' size here, they're going to be too much for the Blazers to deal with. Just physically, they're just going to wear them down. I'd only be looking at Rockets here, laying the points. No other way for me. I don't believe I'm going to have any play on that one. That's just my lean first instinct there. Clippers at the Mavericks. So Clippers there, 2.5, small favorite on the road. Clippers, they've just dropped their last 6 games, and I don't think the Mavericks are going to make it 7. I mentioned last week, I'm just not looking to really get involved with this Mavericks team really anytime soon because of the direction of this team. I'd only look to lay the points with the Clippers here, nothing else. Again, I'm still staying away from the Mavericks until they get that team completely just figured out. Last one of the night, Warriors at Spurs. So I just want to pause here for a moment and think back to what we talked about yesterday. If anyone watched the show yesterday, you can recall what we talked about. Spurs coming off a loss against the Warriors on Wednesday, 125 to 120. I'm just going to give this play out right now. This is going to be the free play of the day. Back-to-back against the same team. Watch this game go well below that total. It was at, 245 they scored. This is going to be a completely opposite game. You're going to get something like 110 to 100, something well below that total that they've got there today. I'm just going Spurs laying the points. Like I talked about, back-to-back game. we're going opposite here. We're going Spurs lay the points -2.5. That's going to be my play. I'll get the actual odds here at the end of the show before I do lock it in, because I do have to check Profit X. I want to see where they are at currently, which again, use Profit X, use code Paul Rami, get you guys a 20% purchase match up to $100. It's free $20. So go get that. Now, that's enough for the NBA Cup, NBA action that we've got for tonight. Let's talk some college basketball. There's not going to be a lot. So for tonight, I mean, really, number 6 Michigan at TCU would be one that I would probably look at. Where's that one at? If I can pull it up. Yeah, so that's later around 8 o'clock Central Time. So Michigan at TCU. That one, I would probably lean TCU on that one. Just not a big fan of what Michigan has done. I mean, they blew out Oakland, and then they had a really tough game against Wake Forest. Now this is their first game on the road, laying that 8.5. I don't know if I would like that. I'd probably just go TCU here. So that's going to be a kind of fun one to watch. However, TCU as well, they're not that impressive. I mean, they lost their opener to New Orleans. Then they come back. They play 2 schools in St. Francis and Lamar who just aren't very good. So now they're stepping up in competition. They've got Michigan. We'll see how that plays out. Again, I would still just probably take TCU at home with the points. Arizona, number 5 at number 15, UCLA. This is going to be a great one to watch. Definitely going to watch this one. If anything, the only thing I'd probably take on this one, that's going to be Arizona. I'm just not a believer in UCLA. I mean, UCLA, they've been huge favorites the first 3 games of the season. Against Eastern Washington, 30-something point favorite, they won by 6. Right? Pepperdine, another 30-point favorite, they won by 11 there. And then West Georgia, they don't cover that one. They're about a 25-point favorite, somewhere around there, and they win by, 21. So they're still not covering these big spreads as they should. That's concerning when they're struggling for these teams that are not Arizona. Now you've got Arizona coming in, a huge battle that you're going to have. Only way, like I said, I would lean here would be Arizona. Arizona's done nothing but just prove that they're dominant. They won at Florida, and then they just completely demolished their next 2 opponents there. So only way I'd look maybe is Arizona on this one tonight. They look like a good squad, able to just really control the boards, control the paint. Defensively, they're going to be too tough. Again, I would just lean for Arizona there with Koa Pete and the team. Last one I'm going to talk about, that's for tonight. Gonzaga at Arizona State, number 19 Gonzaga. Again, it is a pretty big number here, -14.5. We talked about it with Creighton, right? We talked about Gonzaga. Man, I would just lay the 10.5, lay the 11.5, lay the 12.5. Gonzaga is just going to be way too tough of a team. And they ended up blowing out Creighton. It almost feels like the same type of game here. Arizona State, again, same thing. They haven't played anybody tough. Now you got Gonzaga coming in. Gonzaga, I am going to continue to be high on this year. They're not – the books are still not caught up on Gonzaga. This game should be more than a 13.5-point spread. Will I take it? Probably not. Because with college basketball, we know what can happen. But I wouldn't be surprised if Gonzaga wins this one by 20. That's just the way they're playing right now. Again, I'm going to continue to be on the Gonzaga bandwagon this year, which is a big game changer because I am usually against Gonzaga. But again, with the addition of Tyon Grant Foster, I'm a huge fan of his. I just think he plays very well and what they've got in the front court. So we'd be going Gonzaga here. But again, no play on that one for tonight. On Saturday, I mean, you've got really not a lot of good games to watch this weekend in college basketball. Number 7, BYU, and number 3, UConn. That's probably about it on Saturday. And then Sunday, number 1, Houston at number 22, Auburn. We're not going to get into a lot of detail on those. For the weekend, it's pretty much college football and NFL. That's where the focus is. College basketball is, great. Love to watch it, especially tonight. I'll probably be getting involved in some college basketball. But weekends for now are meant for college football and NFL. So as for college football this weekend, two ranked teams playing tonight, right? Clemson at number 20, Louisville should be a fun watch. Small line there. I believe it's a 2.5. And then Saturday, that's where we're going to have a lot of fun. Let's get into one really quick that I want to talk about to start. College game day is going to be there. That's number 9 Notre Dame at number 22 Pittsburgh. 12.5-point favorite there for Notre Dame on the road. Now, Pittsburgh, they've been quietly making a case for that ACC championship game. And it may be closer than expected if they can pull off really a huge upset here at home against Notre Dame. With Georgia Tech and Miami still to go on their schedule, they control their own destiny here. Win out, they may have just secured a spot, and then they have a chance to get into the ACC championship and get a spot into the CFP. So Pittsburgh, they defend the run very well. I don't know if anyone watched the game last time they played against Stanford. Negative 10 rushing yards for Stanford. That is a brutal beat down there as they just completely controlled that game. With 2 weeks to prepare, I would expect Pittsburgh is up and prepared for this game. They're going to be ready to go. However, that physicality of Notre Dame, it may just be a little bit too much for Pittsburgh. I mean, ranking 15th in total yards on offense, Notre Dame really has that offense rolling and playing well. It's going to be tough to say whether this game turns into a shootout or it's won defensively. So I would not be on either side of the total. Only way I would lean here is Pittsburgh to cover that big number. But even that, I'm not 100% on something like that. This will just be a fun one to watch. And I don't know if we're going to be getting involved with this one yet for Saturday. Still have to break down a little bit more. Still need to do some more information on it. Again, Saturday plays will come out on Saturday and Sunday plays will come out on Sunday. Everything in the morning before everything tips off. So if we've got action on this one, you'll know about it over on the website, sportbetextra.com. So next one, we got number 21, Iowa, number 17, USC. USC laying the 7.5 there. Iowa with a very hard-fought game last week. Now go on the road. They're taking on an offense that can really light up a scoreboard here. It feels like a spot where Iowa, they just exhausted all their resources defensively last weekend. I mean, that was a huge game with Oregon coming into your home turf and almost winning. I mean, that was a tough loss. You had to leave there. That 2-point conversion, he just does not get his toes down. It's a tough pill to swallow. And now you've got to go completely across country, play a tough offense that's just going to completely throw the ball all over you. Only way I'd probably be looking at it is taking USC here, which is kind of nice, though, because a game like this wouldn't have much implications in the past. And now we're talking about a number 17 and number 21 ranked team with only a couple weeks to go in the season because they still have a chance to get into the college football playoff. Very minimal, but the chance is there. So it's kind of cool that we have a more meaningful games here near towards the end of the season. It makes it for a lot of fun football there. Next one, number 11, Oklahoma. Number 4, Alabama. Alabama laying the 5.5. Now, what Oklahoma did 2 weekends ago was very impressive at Tennessee. We were on the wrong side of that. We had Tennessee. You've had 2 weeks now to prepare for Alabama, another tough road game. This is kind of that weird number of a 5.5. So you're asking Alabama to at least win this game by a touchdown, which they're very capable of doing. With no real major injuries affecting this game, it's going to be great to see these two powerhouse teams just face off. It feels like a spot, though, where Alabama will continue their dominance. They're going to win this one in a close-fought game at home, but just enough to cover that spread. I wouldn't be surprised if this one goes to overtime and Alabama wins by 6. And if you laid that 5.5, you're like, holy, how did that just happen where I covered? I would not be surprised if that was the outcome. So I'd probably lean Alabama on this one here. I think Oklahoma may have just met their match. Number 10, Texas at number 5, Georgia. Last one we're going to talk about. Georgia laying the 6.5. Georgia, they've gotten off to a slow start the last 2 games, which they've got to be careful with here against Texas, because if they can get off to a hot start like they did last game against Vanderbilt, it may not be as easy of a comeback for Georgia. We know what Texas can do if Arch Manning is playing well now that he's progressing through the season. This total is expecting this game to be a defensive battle with a low number of 49.5. I really just think the offenses here, they're going to be the difference maker with big plays. I expect also maybe some special teams plays here. You may see a turnover where it's now the other team gets the ball right in the red zone. I kind of expect the offenses here again to put up some numbers. I'd be leaning on an over for this one here, that 49.5. I'm not buying that this is going to be a defensive battle here for this game. I think this is going to be one in the air in offense. So I'd be going probably just over. I don't know if I would be on any side here. I could see this game being closer. Or do we get that one where Georgia just blows out Texas and it's like, yeah, Arch Manning sucks. Texas is no good. So we'll see here. End of the day on Saturday. Going to be another great one to watch. Again, another huge game with implications on the college football playoff. We'll have a lot of answers after this weekend. College football is done. I'm going to just touch now very quickly on NFL. I'm running out of time. So we've got Commanders at Dolphins in Madrid. Commanders minus 2.5-point favorite. Early start there. I don't believe I'm going to have any action on this game. Typically, I don't like to get involved on these early ones. There's just not a lot that I'm liking, especially with the Commanders and the Dolphins. Why are the Dolphins only 2.5-point favorite with how the Commanders have been playing? Not sure. Not going to be involved. On to the next one. Chargers minus 2.5 there at the Jags. It feels like a spot where the Jaguars get the win. It kind of has that type of feel, that type of game, that type of number. They're asking you just take the Chargers minus 2.5. Oh shoot! All I need is them for to win by a field goal. Done. Give me the 2.5. Yeah, I'd be careful. I'd probably lean Jaguars on this one here. Looking at the Bucks and the Bills. Bills laying the 6.5. Was opening at around 5.5. It's now to 6.5. I wouldn't be on either side. Bucks, though, they seem like they're struggling. I'm a huge fan of Baker Mayfield, right? Like, the dude's been awesome ever since Oklahoma, ever since that interview with Colin Cowherd. I don't know if anyone remembers that. I've been a fan of him ever since then. I think the Bills bounce back in a big way here, though. As much as I love Baker Mayfield, I feel like that magic may just kind of run out at the end here. It hurts to say because I'm a big fan of his, but I do believe the Bills cover that big number. Bears and the Vikings. Vikings 2.5-point favorite there. Don't really think I would have much action on this one. Packers at the Giants. Just take the Giants plus 7.5. New coach coming in. Yeah, I would just go them. Jameis Winston going to be throwing the ball around like crazy. They're going to play carefree. This team is going to play loose, right? There's no pressure now. You've got a new coach. You've got Jameis. I would love to take the Giants here at home, 7.5. That's probably going to be one of my favorites. I may get involved with that one. Again, just kind of watch throughout the day, see where that number goes. But again, just the way that the Giants are going to play, I'd go for that one there. Another tough game for the Packers on the road. Texans at the Titans. Texans 5.5-point favorites. I will not be getting involved with this one. I have made the mistake before of fading the Titans at home with the Chargers. This kind of feels like a spot. Maybe the Titans are kind of starting to get something together. Texans, tough loss there that they should have had. This would be a low-scoring game. If anything, that's a low total, 37.5. I would not take the over. I may take that under, even though it's a very low total, 37.5. I just don't see where any offense is going to come from with either of these teams. Panthers at the Falcons. Falcons 3.5-point favorites. Not getting involved there. Bengals at Steelers as well. Not want to get involved with that one. Niners at Cardinals for your afternoon games. Niners small favorite there, minus 2.5. No, don't like it. Seahawks at Rams. Rams minus 3.5. Give me the Rams minus 3.5. I love the Seahawks, what they're doing. It's incredible stuff. Sam Darnold, man, he's making a case for himself. It's just crazy again what he's done, what he's been able to do ever since he left the Panthers. Man, he's been something else there. So this is a game where you expect Seahawks, man, they're only a 2.5 point underdog. They're rolling. Now, I just think the defense for the Rams is going to be very difficult here for the Seahawks to do anything against. If anything on this game, I would probably just lean an under, or again, the Rams laying the points there. Just kind of, again, what the Rams have done defensively. They haven't had a really too difficult of a game last 2 weeks against the Saints and the Niners. I would just, again, look at Rams or nothing for me. Chiefs at the Broncos. As much as I love the Broncos, as much as I have a future Super Bowl ticket on them here, I'd be very nervous hoping that they can cover this 3.5 point spread. It's tough when you have a future on a team because you just want them to win every game, but you've got to be realistic. This feels like a spot where, unfortunately, they don't get it done. But again, this one I will not be having any action on. This is going to be one of those, look, I've already got the future, the Super Bowl ticket. Let's just leave it at that and watch this game, see what happens. So no action for me on this one. I would lean Chiefs, laying the points there. Ravens at the Browns. Ravens, just what can you say, man? They were counted out at 1-5 by a lot of analysts. Doesn't make sense because they're still a good team with Lamar Jackson. Now that he's back, they're rocking and rolling. I'd go Ravens here with the points. This is what we talked about a couple weeks back. We're getting near that territory where Dillon Gabriel, he had his time, he had his chance. This is that game where I said, once Dillon Gabriel, he came off the bye week. If he performed terrible against the Jets, and then he performs terrible against the Ravens, I would look for Shedeur Sanders to maybe come in on that Raiders game. Depending on what happens here, again, Dillon Gabriel does not look good. Now that the media has kind of laid off and stopped talking about Shedeur so much, now you can start to maybe be like, okay, let's bring him in. All those antics have kind of stopped. I would say the Raiders game next week, that's when you may see Shedeur Sanders there. As of this weekend, no play on the Ravens or the Browns. Sunday night game, Lions at Eagles. Eagles there laying the 2.5 points. This Eagles team is very confusing to figure out. Great squad coming off the Super Bowl. They're 7-2. You put up 10 points last week. You put up 38 the week before against the Giants. Then you lose 2 weeks prior to that against the Giants. I mean, they're a very tough team to figure out offensively. They've got some locker room issues there. I just don't know about laying the points here with the Eagles. The only way I'd be looking at is the Lions. I mean, a big win against the Commanders there. Everyone expected that. It feels like the Lions, though, may be the play here. No major injuries that we'd have to worry about with either of these teams. I think the Eagles still have issues that they've got to figure out in the passing game. They just cannot get A.J. Brown involved for whatever reason, but they find a way to win games. I would still not trust the Eagles to win this one and cover. Only way I would probably look is the Lions for this game here. That's all we've got for the NFL. That's all the time we have for the day. We're reaching that 30-minute mark. Play of the day we talked about for tonight, Spurs minus 2.5. Let me get the actual number here and see what the juice is that we're laying. So minus 2.5, minus 103 on Profit X. I love that. So Spurs minus 2.5, minus 103. I'm locking that in. That's going to be the free play of the day. Go to sportbetextra.com, subscribe. There's 1 week trial. Then from there, you can do your week package. monthly package, 3-month package. Again, go to the beginning of the show. I talked about the record. It pays for itself. Anyone who's been a part of it, thank you so much for joining. I hope you guys enjoy the weekend. We will be back here on Tuesday. Until then, go follow me on X and YouTube at Paul Rami. Go subscribe to SportBet Extra. You're going to get all my plays there. Have a good week.